From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins. The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, defeated, but also at times defiant, Mike Norvell speaks candidly for the first time since that vote of confidence from the top brass. We present some interesting lenses in which to view this Mike Norvell era. And Jimbo Fisher speaking to the media and apparently trying to get the band back together. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. Up to 7 hours of energy, including body-nourishing vitamins and nutrients that will accelerate your metabolism. And it's not a 16-ounce can of carbonated nonsense with sugar and all sorts of other crazy additives. It's not even 2 whole ounces. Yet it's going to give you all that energy, all those nourishing vitamins. It's in one bottle. It's called Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. warchantbogo, the promo code. Give it a try. Give it a shot. Buy one, get one free, vitaminenergy.com. Noles behind the marketing of this fine product, everybody. Support your own. Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. $1 for a week and a complimentary year subscription to The Athletic. What are you waiting for? What are we waiting for? Let's get right to it. But real quick, though. Corey Clark, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing, Aslan? You doing another beautiful day in Tallahassee?
Seriously,
I'm telling you.
This is incredible.
It's unbelievable what a run we're on here.
Yeah, I feel like summer wasn't that bad, and then now we're, kind of in the beginning stages of fall, so I'm stoked. I'm pumped. And I thought we did a good job as journalists, as professionals on Wednesday. So I got a little pep in my step, too. Proud of everybody on the beat. I guess let's get right to it. We spoke to Mike Norvell on Wednesday. He was the only person we spoke to, and that was the plan, I think, probably all along. Last bye week, we got to speak to him after practice on Wednesday as well. So nothing kind of out of the ordinary about that. But, I guess, just thinking about it, Corey, the questions that we asked, the way that Mike responded, I believe he knows that he's not going to be the coach here next year. I think he's going to try everything he can to go out on a high note, because I was asking myself this on the way back to my house, Corey, was that if you know you're not going to be the head coach here next year, like, why wouldn't you just be like, thanks, but no thanks. I'll just leave now. Appreciate it. Best of luck. Send me my money to this address. There is a world where this guy still wants to be a head coach somewhere that's reputable. And if he can string 4 wins in the next 5 games or whatever, and put this team into a bowl game and make it not look that horrendous, I think that makes him much, much more marketable than if he were just to walk away on the heels of a 4-game losing skid. So I don't know if you agree with him holding on to this job because he has an eye to the future, or if you agree at all that he is kind of reading some tea leaves that thinks he won't be the head coach here next year.
Yeah, I mean, it went both ways, right? Like, there were times where he's like, just every day I get to walk on campus. I appreciate it. I have gratitude for every day I get to be here, as if he's counting down the days that won't be the case, is how I read that. But then he also said that he has not been told otherwise about, he has long-term confidence in the plan, and he has been not told I think the quote was, until somebody tells me otherwise, I'm going to have belief in the long term. Or confidence in the long term. And it's like, okay, well, we might be in a situation where there is a chance. Not a great one, but there is a chance where Mike Norvell is the head coach in 2026. I think he certainly believes that. Yeah. And if you're offered, you can't give him an ultimatum like, hey, man, you've got to win 5 games or you're done, or you've got to win 4 games or you're done. You do what you did, I guess, if there is a chance, and you just say, look, we're going to reassess at the end of the season, finish this season strong, and we'll see. And I think Norvell takes that as, okay, I can still save my job. I don't know if that's true. I think it would be hard for that to be true. But I'm also speaking after a 4-game losing streak where they just lost to Stanford, which is his second worst loss since he's been here. We don't have the perspective of what it's going to look like in December 1st. Again, he might be an 8-4 head coach. I know that's
close to a breakthrough, Corey. They're close to a breakthrough.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. It's an odd place to be at Florida State, because I was thinking about it. When you go through, and this is not the way that standards should be held at Florida State. I'm just saying if you're looking at the micro and you don't take the 10,000-foot view and you just look at it for one season for what it is. What's weird about Norvell's teams are, I think I don't think the 2021 team was better than the 2020 team, right?
Correct.
So they improved from year 1 to year 2. The 21 team was better than the 20 team. The 22 team was better than the 21 team. The 23 team was better than the 22 team. The 24 team made us all puke. But now the 25 team is better than the 24 team. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can look at it through a certain lens and be like, well, his team, other than that one, I think, what did he call it? A disastrous year?
He called it disastrous.
Yeah, he called on Wednesday, he called it a disastrous 2024 season, that's an apt description. His teams have gotten better from one year to the next. Like, he does have a history of that, save for 2024. The problem is you can look at it that way, which is foolish in my opinion, but you can squint and make that case, or you can look at the reality of the 9 straight losses, the 5-15 in the last 20 games, and you're combining 2024 into 2025. And while I think the 2025 team is significantly better, their ACC record is worse. So maybe it isn't. Yeah, great. You're not getting beat 50-3. The L's are still stacking up. So at the end of the day, I expect the L's to continue to stack up because, again, if you lose to Stanford, you can lose all the rest of these bad boys. And there won't be – I don't think there's any way that he saves his job without stacking up a few more wins, right? But I don't think they're just going through if he was going to be here regardless, right? If 2026 was a guarantee, that would have been in the statement. It's not. We all know he's coaching for his job. He might have already coached for his job and lost, and there's nothing he can do. You just get the impression listening to him talk that, he does think there is a chance that this thing can be salvaged. Not just the season, but his career at Florida State. At least I got that impression. Did you?
I don't disagree. I think the more plausible thing is that, again, if it could be like the perfect kind of breakup. If he can win 4 out of the next 5 games, you're 7-5. All right, man, I'm leaving this place in a better place than I found it. You're going. Well, actually, he did inherit a team that went to a bowl game. So, but probably feels a little bit better than what 2019 team was. And I think it's like, yeah, then he can go move on with his career somewhere else because it's too much, man. I mean, the way he talked about that Stanford game several times on Wednesday. Like, I think he knew what was on the line. And I think he said, like, I was sick about how that game went. And he's like, I knew the distractions. I knew how difficult it was going to be. It's like, man, it's Stanford, brother. Like, anything that's difficult is self-inflicted going into a game against a team that's battered and then you took out their quarterback in the second half. So I think he knows that this thing is just at a point that is pretty untenable. And, yeah, I mean, even if they rip off 6 straight, right, 5 in this regular season, then win a bowl game, just, the best thing probably would be just to kind of walk away from it. And maybe Florida State told him regardless, like, hey, you're going to get your money. We're going to cut you loose and you're going to get your buyout, but we're going to have to move forward and we'll give you the courtesy of finishing this thing out. Well, then I don't think elsewhere. He would,
but I don't think they would tell him that. I think that might be the reality. There's no way you tell the coach that. Now, it's not necessarily lying. It's lying by omission. You don't tell him, hey, man, yeah, you're going to get your job if you go fight. You don't tell him that because that would be a lie if that's not true. But if you say we're just going to reassess at the end of the season, go win some games, because you're right. I think if they told Mike Norvell, hey, man, you're going to be fired. We're going to ride this thing out for the next 5 weeks, but there's nothing you can do. You can win every game 50-0 the next 5 weeks. You're not going to be the head coach of Florida State in 2026. I feel like he's like, well, then, he would be like, then fire me.
I know, but
he would say that.
Don't you want the opportunity to win a couple more games to make yourself look a little bit better?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That was my thing. I think
that's not a way to run a program, though. You don't run a program by telling a guy he's literally dead man walking. Like, you can't dead man coaching. You're not gonna. Because
yes, it is though. It's because we're gonna fix this. We're gonna get somebody else to fix this in. Like, we're giving you the courtesy of. We appreciate what you've done for 6 years, man. Like, you've got something else to accomplish. And like, we still want to win games. Like, we want to beat Clemson. We want to beat Florida. We're probably better off if this guy is, coaching for his entire career moving forward, going into those games, rather than an interim coach with, maybe 2 coordinators that don't even really see eye to eye on a lot of things. I don't know, but I'm sorry to interrupt.
I guess I'm saying, like, I would, if I was running a program, I wouldn't tell the head coach, no matter what you do, you're not going to be my head coach, because then you can say, yeah, he wants a couple wins on his, but he's going to be looking for jobs. His agent's going to be looking for jobs. Those coaches below him are going to be looking for jobs. You want them focused on trying to win games at Florida State, even if it will not help them at all come December 2nd. They'll be somewhere else. I think you want them to. I think you want them to think that they can go save their jobs. Otherwise, what's Gus Malzahn doing? He's calling Arkansas like he's not in on this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you would give them. You take away motivation. Especially someone like Gus Malzahn, he's not going to care if they win any more games. If he's not, if he's going to be trying to take care of his next step. Tony White too. Like, all these guys are worried about their careers rightfully. I mean, that's their job. So I think you kind of keep it, up in the air. And obviously they're not dumb, right? If they lose to Wake Forest, if they lose at Clemson by 30, if they lose 2 or 3 more times, they understand they're not coming back, but have that carrot dangling out there that there's a chance they can come back. And I'm also not convinced there isn't a chance they can all come back. There is. I mean, again, it's not happening. But if it did happen, with 5 straight wins or 4 out of 5, 8-5, 8-4, 9-4, whatever, there is a part of me that thinks, okay, unless you have somebody on the hook that is coming to Florida State, then I don't know that they'll fire an 8-4 head coach to then go do a search and end up with Alex Golish, or Dan Mullen, who I think both could be really good at Florida State, or at least good. That's why I think they did. I don't know. It's crazy that we were talking to him on Wednesday, Aslan. It's just crazy we were talking to him. I thought for sure I would never talk to him again after the Stanford game. Legitimately, I thought that, because he wasn't going to have a press conference to say bye, and I thought he was going to be fired, and I was wrong. I might have been wrong in the short term. We'll see if I was wrong in the long term. I don't think I am. That's why it makes so little sense that he's still here if he can't save his job. If there's no way he can go salvage this, then he does not need to be here. That makes no sense. But if there is a way he can salvage this and keep his job, then it does make sense to have him coach the next 5 games. I will say this. If they're like 4-7 going into the Florida game, like I said earlier in the week, I definitely think there's a chance it's announced before the Florida game that it's his last job. It's his last game. I do think that's a chance. And maybe he wants to walk, or maybe he wants to coach his guys one last time. But I do think there's a chance they would make an announcement before the Florida game to get ahead of it and really start to get that coaching search going.
Get your weekends going over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Next week, the meet and greet returns on Friday at 5 p.m. as we head into the Wake Forest game. In the meantime, there's bingo night going down on Thursday. 4 rounds, $250 in cash up for grabs in each single round. Live music on the weekends, ice-cold drinks, delicious food. Happy hour on Sunday all day long as you watch your favorite NFL team. How'd trivia go on Tuesday, Corey?
Buy Steph a drink, won again.
Big dubs.
Victorious again.
Big dubs.
That's
Big
3 in a row. I think people are going to stop coming.
Woo.
But yeah, that's 3 in a row. We're riding high. Great team. Covered all the bases. Really good game. Really good game. We beat Menace to sobriety in a tiebreaker.
Good response coming off all that success.
It was a good response. We handle success well, Aslan. We really do. Thank you for saying that.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, warchantbogo, your promo code, buy one, get one free. I wanted to talk about expectations, Corey, and because Mike Norvell, I think, brought it up. I know he brought it up on Wednesday, and I think he's brought it up a few times even before then, and kind of how the Stanford game dovetails into it, because the way he talked about it, again, the Stanford game, he realized there was... this was a substantial kind of line in the sand moment, I think, for him as a head coach at Florida State. His team did not rise up, if you will. But, he mentioned expectations. And to your point from the first segment when you talked about the team got better from this year to that year, if you want to look at it through that, I think the prism too, I feel like I don't know if he was pleading to us that this was like his inner monologue going off, but what I was kind of interpreting when he talked about expectations, like that 2020 season, there's little to no expectation, right?
Right.
Who knows if we're all going to survive this thing together, this pandemic thing.
How many
right?
games are even going to play?
Yeah. So then you go into 2021. There was really nothing great to feel about what you put on tape in 2020. So 2021, not a lot of expectations. You lose last game of the season, don't make it to a bowl game. You lose to an interim coach at Florida. You're losing Jermaine Johnson. You're bringing in Mackenzie Milton, who's gone through all these horrible health scares, and you have no idea who your quarterback's going to be. So you go into 2022 with not a lot of expectations either. But then the team has a great run to start the season, has a bit of a lull, finishes the season on a really high note. 2023, there was expectations on this program for like the first time, right? Like really big time expectations. And you can say they kind of passed it with flying colors. Going to 2024, another time there's huge expectations on you. Your preseason top 10, everyone thinks 12-team playoff. You're pretty much a cinch to make it in there. And you do not meet the expectations at all. No real expectations going into this season, Corey, but then after you beat Alabama, once again, expectations are back on your doorstep, big time expectations, and your team has not responded at all. So it's like your report card looks like you have an A in responding to the expectations in 2023, you have an F in responding to the expectations going into 2024, and you now have an F coming out of the expectations that you got from the Alabama game. Average it out. That's maybe like a D plus if you want to be really friendly. So to me, I think he's almost telling us that, like, I've been in this now for 3 years where there's been huge expectations, and it's a completely different game when there's expectations here. And maybe that's him kind of admitting that when the expectations are so high that it's really tough to deliver at a place like Florida State.
I mean, it's not that hard. In this, we're not even talking about delivering. Like, what is delivering at Florida State? Like, this is, apocalyptic. This is incredibly bad. They're not asking for the moon, Mike. They're just asking for a few ACC wins here and there, and you can't even produce that. That's the issue. It's not just that they don't live up to expectations. They fall on their face. Starting this year with the Alabama game, and then since then, they have not looked like, other than the two high school teams, they have not looked like a good football team. They've had good moments, but the defense gave up 40 at Virginia. The offense scored 13 at Stanford. They were down 28-3 to Miami, and they didn't score a touchdown in the second half against Pittsburgh till the game was over. Like, they just don't handle the moment. And I don't know how a head coach impacts that, as opposed to, like, how much is the player's fault, the assistant's fault. But at the end of the day, it's the head coach's team, and something's going on there where they don't play with confidence. And I don't think that 2023 team played with a whole lot of confidence as the season went on. They won the games, which good for them. But did they win the games because they rose up and believed and showed they could respond, or was it because they had Jordan Travis and Jared Verse and Braden Fisk?
They show grit though, man. In Gainesville and Charlotte, those were tough situations.
Yeah, but
granted,
do
Gators
they beat
on their
Florida?
third string quarterback. Yeah, if they had
I was
going to
say, did they beat Florida with their real quarterback?
Probably not.
Right? Yeah. And that offense was horrible until Johnny makes a great. Johnny Wilson, that's another guy. That's not a great game plan. That's not the team rising up. That's not the offensive line saying, "Get on our backs. We're going to carry you." It's Johnny Wilson making an incredible catch down to the 1 yard line. You score, and then you have Trey Benson putting the game away with a couple of touchdowns. Which, good for him. They count. But I think that was on the backs of great college football players that nobody expected to be great. And I don't know the psychology of it. I think it's just different when you're coaching a guy like Jared Verse from Albany, Trey Benson, who was an afterthought at Oregon, Johnny Wilson was an afterthought in the portal after Arizona State. All these guys that have something to prove, and then you start coaching guys and bringing in guys that think they're joining the 90s Florida State team, and they think they've already arrived. And that wasn't this team. That's the thing, Aslan. This team did have a lot of hungry guys. A lot of guys that hadn't proven a lot, including the quarterback, including Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White. Squirrel had done some stuff, but the whole offensive line. Like, they had guys that were mature adults that still had stuff to prove. And then they go and beat Alabama, and they just – why does that keep happening to this program where they think they're better than they are? And that The correlation between the 2024 season being a complete collapse from 2023 and this team collapsing from the Alabama game, I just think there's something there. I don't know how to quantify it, but there's a reason this guy's team goes from 13-0 to 2-10 and goes from beating Alabama to losing to Stanford. I don't know why. I asked him on Wednesday how that happens. He didn't really have the best answer. He just said it's college football, and people do lose. And he's like, look, Alabama lost to us, and they haven't lost to anybody else. How does that happen? They're 18 to 22-year-old kids, and there are going to be ups and downs. And I'm like, sure, but with your 18 to 22-year-old kids, it's mostly down. When they lose, they don't bounce back. And I don't know. I don't know. And you know what else, man? That I think he was trying to get at, which again is an excuse. It's not a good one. Don't roll your eyes. But that is a hard game to go to Stanford, especially a team that practices at 8 in the morning. Legitimately. And I think it's dumb that they practice in the morning. I've said that since he got here. Obviously, I shut up for about 2 years because they were winning by practicing in the morning, but I just think it's dumb to practice in the morning. I don't know why you would want to be at your peak physical ability at 9:30 a.m. when there are no college football games ever played at 9:30 a.m. It just doesn't make sense to me that you would have your body clock wired to exert a lot of physical activity and be at your best at 9:15 or 9:30 a.m. when the game doesn't start for 6 hours, or in that case, 13 hours. But anyway, that is a tough game, right? Going to Stanford, it's a tough trip, I should say. Yeah, going to Stanford cross country.
I probably would have picked Florida State to beat Stanford if it was in Doak Campbell Stadium. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. There you go. Perfect. It wasn't in that Devil's Nest out in Palo Alto where nobody comes out alive.
Farm, dog. The farm, man.
Yeah, the farm, man. Nobody comes out alive there. But so, and then you start stacking it up, man. It's like, okay, that was a tough game against Virginia on a Friday night when they had a bye week, and you didn't. Short week. Tough team, tough game. You go to double overtime, you're really close to winning that game. Same thing with Miami. Well, not really. Let's just say you lost that game comfortably, but Miami's better than you, and you just didn't handle the moment well. But then Pitt, you got a 7-point lead, and you're getting the ball to start the second half. Your quarterback gets hurt on the first play. You lose Deuce, your best receiver, right before halftime. You can't score again. You lose that game. Again, in the moment, in that vacuum, you can understand that loss. And then you can kind of, like he was trying to paint the picture. I'm not saying he was excusing it. That was always going to be a tough game. Yes, they're better than Stanford. But having to make that trip across the country and then trying to get the sleep right so you can be ready. Understand, everyone, if these kids get up at 6 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, which I can't imagine wanting to go to a college football team where I'm told I have to get up it's like high school. I got to get up at 6 in the morning still? What? I want to practice at 3, and I want my first class to be at 11. But anyway, these kids get up at 6:30 in the morning to get ready for practice. They're going to bed at 10:30 Eastern time. Yeah, but some of them probably stay up till midnight. But by midnight, they're all sound asleep probably, so they can get up at 6:30 in the morning. Well, their body clocks at midnight, they're in a halftime locker room. So anyway, that's a tough ask for a team is what I'm saying. It's not an impossible ask. So again, when you look at them individually, you're like, okay, you can excuse that. There's a reason for all these losses, aside from the team just sucks and can't win. Well, now it's like this is no excuse coming up. You've got Wake Forest at home. You're going to be healthier than you've been since the start of the season, theoretically, if all these guys get healthy the next 12 days. It's also Wake Forest. Decent team, I guess. Not a great one. They beat Kennesaw State 10-9. I know that was early in the year. That was the night before Florida State beat Alabama, so things can change. But they did almost beat Georgia Tech. They should have beaten Georgia Tech. It's a decent team. It's a team that can beat you. But also you can beat it. And if you play well, you will beat Wake Forest. And I think they think that this bye week, there's no excuses now. Your team is healthy. You're not playing a great team. You're not playing on the road. You don't have a short week. And you have all your capable bodies, and you're not on the West Coast. It is now or never. And I think they're putting all their eggs into the basket that they're going to win this game, and it's going to start something. We'll see, but that's what they're thinking.
The breakthrough.
Yeah, but it's going to be a breakthrough, right? Yeah, and shout out to Aslan. It is always weird, I'd say, that I'm out here. It's not. I guess it is normal now, but it didn't used to be the normal way media works, where you cover a guy every day as a beat writer, sort of, but then you also give opinions. It used to be separated, but now it's all melded. Like, I give opinions on podcasts, I write columns, and I'm there every day or most every day asking Norvell questions. It's just an odd dynamic there. And same with Aslan. We're there every day, but Aslan, I thought, like you said, the media itself did a good job on Wednesday, and kudos to him, man. He was there for 25 minutes, I think. He went in there and knew the questions were coming and handled them as well as he could. But yeah, Aslan you asked the question about what does a breakthrough mean, and he gave a Mike Norvell answer: winning games. A breakthrough to me is winning games, and you didn't let him off the hook. You're like, yeah, but has Michael Alford told you what a breakthrough might mean? Something like that. How did you phrase it?
Yeah, just like, how has Michael Alford defined it, and will that be enough to keep your career on track here?
Yeah, and then he said, that's when he said, as far as I know, nobody's told me otherwise. Yeah. I have confidence in the long term. So, yeah, it was a very good question because we needed it. I was going to get to it, too.
That's how it
eventually, because he didn't answer my first question the way I kind of wanted, so I was going to come back to it. But yeah, you did it for us, Aslan. So good job, and everybody did a good job, I thought.
ATL Nole or Atlian Nole. Corey is the man. He posts on YouTube. He always asks the questions that we all want to ask. Love it. Kudos to you, Corey. But Mike's answer really wasn't an answer. But I'm not surprised at this point. Your last
I wonder if
question,
that was about because that's the truth. I asked Norvell, like, how does a team that beats Alabama lose to Stanford? How is that possible? And I also prefaced it by saying I apologize for this question, not because it's a hard question. I don't care about that. I'm not apologizing. He gets paid a lot of money to handle that. It was more about I don't know if there's an answer he could give. Like, if there was an answer, he would have fixed it, right?
Correct.
But I want to know if he's as perplexed as we are. Like, if he's dumbfounded by this. And I don't know. I'm sure he is, but he didn't say it.
Yeah, well, I mean, he talked about it earlier, right? Like, it's college football, it's young guys, cross country, but none of this stuff is unique to Florida State. Although maybe we should look and see, has anybody gone to the West Coast and came back with a dub? Like, Boston College went out there and got tap danced on, which might be better than Boston College. I don't know who's our one ACC win, just so we can get ahead of Boston College. I need to look at their schedule to see if they have any winnable game on their slate, because they're really, really bad.
They're bad. They lost by 2 touchdowns to UConn.
Yeah,
on Saturday. Yeah, yikes. Yeah, I don't know. I assume Stanford has lost at a home game.
No, they're undefeated at home this year, Stanford. But I'm just saying, UCLA.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're 3-0. They beat San Jose State, beat Boston College, and then beat us.
Okay.
But yeah, the Penn State thing, like Penn State went over to, play UCLA. They lost.
Yep.
I don't know if, I don't know who's been.
Well, remember
to play
last
SC.
year, Miami, they beat Cal, but it was a miracle. That was one of those late Saturday night games where I think they were down like 30-7.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
and
Michigan.
They scored in the
Michigan
minute.
lost to SC this year over in Los Angeles. So yeah, I mean maybe it's just, but like
it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing.
But somebody figure it out, man. It's not like they're taking the Greyhound to, Atlanta and then getting on a flight from Atlanta and connecting in Dallas. I mean, they're flying nice and comfortable.
Well, and I don't like the Michigan game. They played USC at 7:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
And I think Penn State played UCLA 3:30 Eastern time. I think playing 10:30 at night on the West Coast is a bit different. Literally, that's like. They're playing at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning their time. That's not a normal thing. Like NFL teams, they all play on the West Coast. They don't play at like 2 a.m. their time. Now, it's the same the other way where they make a West Coast team have to play a noon game on the East Coast. That's really not fair to them either. That'd be great for a Mike Norvell team. They're locked and loaded at 9 a.m. But it's just the way of the world, though. It's college football now. You can't complain about it. It's like, and I don't think he was complaining about it. It is a tough trip, but by God, man, you're Florida State playing Stanford. You could play them. You should be able to play them on the moon and beat them by 2 touchdowns. It's not an excuse that you had to stay up late. I will say this. When I asked them that question about what they're going to do in preparation, like sleep-wise and getting their bodies right for such a late start, did you like that answer last week?
No, because it was we're going to fly out on Friday, which I was like, wrong answer.
Also,
no, fly on
he's like,
Thursday.
we've been looking into things. We've been researching things. It's like, what? Like, what are you researching? Like, why for that week would you not practice at like 5 p.m.? Like, why not 5 p.m.? I know there are classes in schedules and everything. You can make it work.
Yeah, it's 3 days, man. It's 3 days, 1 week.
Yes.
You've
got to. You can't have teams practicing at 8:30 in the morning when they're going to be playing at 10:30 at night. It just doesn't. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense to me at all. But who am I?
Anything else? I mean, we're gonna probably wrap it up a little bit shorter this week with a bye week. Everybody, we're gonna take a day off tomorrow. But it's anything else stand out? Just the way I don't know his physical appearance. People are like, gosh, he looks like he's 60. He's really wearing the stress. I don't know. I think he, all things considered, man, took some difficult questions and didn't lose his cool and, gave some reasonably lucid answers to some of the queries. So I don't know, but yeah, it was a bit bizarre. And I just don't know how many more of these do we do, especially if they
that's
lose,
what I'm.
Wake.
If they lose to Wake, like what's that press conference? And that when I wrote my column about this is untenable, this is going to be ugly. That's what I'm talking about. Like if they win Wake, okay, you get a reprieve for a week or two. But if they lose to Wake, what in the world are we going to ask them after the game? Hey, what did you think of the booze? I mean, yuck. What are we going to ask them that Monday? That Wednesday, it's just at that point it feels like they're just playing out the string. But there is the possibility that they win that game. Oh, angels might shine down from heaven and land all around us. There might be a beam of light coming from the center of the sun that just shines down on Doak Campbell Stadium. Heavenly images. And Florida State might actually be able to win an effing football game at Doak. Wouldn't that be something, Aslan? Holy moly, can you imagine? Win a conference game. Wouldn't that be something? But if that were to happen, then, yeah, you kick the can down the road a week. And then, we'll see what they look like at Clemson. I think they might have a real problem at Clemson. But, again, I think what's so disappointing to Norvell, and I don't disagree with this, I do think they're close to being a good team. Not a great team, not a championship team. But I do think they're close if they'd have played some situations well, if they were better coached, whatever you want to say. They are good enough. They were good enough this year to be 9-3. They screwed it up. But they were good enough to be 8-4, 9-3 at worst. They could have been. That was in there. That was in them. Not at worst. We know what worst is. We're watching it. And I know he just thinks if they could get over the hump and win a game and break a rock in the locker room again, that they would feel good about themselves and it might kickstart something. That's why he keeps bringing up 2022. Like they got that one win and it took off after the 3-game losing streak. They just can't get that one win.
After a bye week, too, if I'm not mistaken. They had a bye week and then they just
That's right. So I think he's putting all his eggs into this. Like they got 5 games left. They're 5 winnable games. I get it. They're all losable. But he thinks that they can reset, be more like the team that played Alabama, and then see what this looks like. And go have some fun, go play loose, go try to win some effing football games. But nobody cares right now. And honestly, what's so,
should he not be looking in the mirror, though, Corey? Like, why is my team these last 3 weeks, or 3 out of the last 5 weeks, why is it my team that keeps coming up a play short? Like, what am I doing? Because he did mention, listen, everyone's got a job. I've got a job. He said the players have a job, which is the closest I've heard him to criticizing players and putting an onus on them in a long time. But it ultimately falls on him. And to the earlier, discussion in the show, man, just of when it matters, man, when the pressure starts ratcheting up around this program, he does not find a way to connect and resonate to these guys, to make, to hold your water on 4th and whatever, to finish a drive, to get that extra yard. Like his team consistently falls short. And it's tough to want to look in the mirror and be like, hey man, like I'm in my situation because of me. It's like, let me look at all those other things, but it's got to come down to him at some point here, man. That's what I think it has come down to. And I think this is the end
I do too. That's why I think this is where he's coaching out the string. Yeah. Right now, until further notice, that's what I feel. And then it becomes who you're going to get. and I'm still in that mindset. Like, who's going to be the next coach here? I guess we could all be swayed over the next 5 weeks, and we all know it's a lot of money. But I think that the question becomes who's going to be the coach here next year. Don't know. A lot of good candidates out there, though. A lot of good candidates. Hey, and there was a story on Yahoo about Jimbo wanting to get back into coaching.
Ross Dellinger's tweet, the beneficiary of the biggest buyout in history, Jimbo Fisher, age 60, is preparing to coach again. He's watching film, organizing a staff, and, quote, clarifying things. I never got into coaching for money. I'm not getting out of it because I've got money. That's a hell of a quote. That's a great quote. That's a really good quote.
What bothers me about it,
is he shaking Carson Beck's hand in the image that they used?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Traitor?
What are you doing, you traitor? No, what bothers me about the story is, again, he talks about the Saban thing and why he came out and criticized Saban after he said he spent – I thought Saban said he spent $3 million on that class.
I thought he said that too.
Jimbo says $35 million. I'm like, I don't remember that. $35 million back then would have been an absurd number for people to think. But it was the I'm trying to find it. He talks about, Florida State not ponying up, not giving him what he wants. And I'm trying to find it. Is it
not true, though? What bothers us about that? Is it
said,
that it was he lied, or because he said it out loud too many times?
All of it. While he left Florida State voluntarily, it didn't necessarily feel that way to him, which is ridiculous. What does that mean? He left voluntarily, but it didn't feel that way? Was he being ushered out the door? Really?
Well, he felt like he didn't have the support he wanted, man. He felt like
information that's been public now for years, the university, under the previous administration, refused to quickly improve the facilities and resources around the program at Fisher's urging. 7 years later, the school has spent more than $400 million on extravagant stadium renovations and a brand-new football-only facility, overhauling its coaching staff and roster as well. Despite the funding, the Seminoles are on a 4-game losing skid. In 8 seasons in charge of the program, Fisher can say he never did that. And that's how the story ends. My problem is, they didn't jump every time he said jump. But he did get whatever he wanted. And he did not understand that. There are downsides to every single job. Yeah, Texas A&M has all the resources you want. They also have that weird-ass dog and those crazy cheerleaders, and they never win ever in anything.
Yell leaders. Get it right.
Yell leaders, sorry. Not cheerleaders, yell leaders. There's downsides to everything. Florida State, he eventually got what he wanted. He got his IPF built. It took him a while. He had to bang some desks, but they did it. They were going to give him the football-only facility. You saw how hard there wasn't a great spot for that thing, and they did have to figure out where to put it. And they pigeonholed it into like the one place on campus that made sense, and it looks beautiful. And Jimbo, I did get that ball rolling, but that ball was going to get rolling eventually. And maybe he's mad that it took so long, and he's pounding the desk. But the reason he was 3-6 at one point in 2017 isn't because he didn't have a football-only facility. And his coaching staff was the 6th highest paid coaching staff in the country. And then he's saying that he didn't get enough resources, and he's still parroting that now in a story in 2025.
And then he had all the resources he wanted at A&M and still couldn't.
And what did that matter? Exactly. Yeah. So I just hate that again.
But his heart was out of it, man. I guess that all goes back to that.
But quit taking shots at Florida State, especially when you're eating at Red Elephant. I didn't even know Red Elephant was around anymore.
North side of town. He's all the way. He's pretty much in Thomasville. He's not even really in Tallahassee. I don't count anything.
You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of the Barnaby Inn. That's not around anymore.
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Barnaby. But Red Elephant, yes, he was at the Red Elephant for this story with Dellinger and his wife, and they were talking about, everything. And, he brings up the fact that Florida State didn't do all this for him. Well, man, could you ever, admit what Florida State did do for you?
I know, but the story is he left one of the greatest football institutions in the world. The story is, why did you leave? You can't tell the story about Jimbo Fisher, where he's now and where Florida State is right now, without talking about the reasons why Jimbo Fisher felt he had to leave or he wasn't happy here anymore. And it's uncomfortable to hear these things, but that's part of the story that needs to be. It doesn't need to be told, but it's an important part of this through line through everything.
It's not uncomfortable because it wasn't the story. The story should be about A&M and what failed there. I mean, why is he going into what Florida State didn't give him? And maybe again, it's not that they didn't give it. It's refused to quickly improve the facilities. Okay, man, what is quickly? Whose definition of quickly? You want it tomorrow, Jimbo? Sorry, man. We don't have that kind of money to just snap our fingers and get that done for you immediately. But you did get it done. In the meantime, you got to recruit at this school with your acumen, combined with this school and its history, is going to create a juggernaut. Can you not appreciate that? And we can't just jump every time you want us to jump. And I just don't understand why it's still coming up 9 years later when he's talking about getting into coaching. And again, it's just like it's not like Dellinger's saying that on his own. Jimbo's complaining, probably loudly, about what Florida State didn't do for him. He didn't necessarily want to leave. What the flip does that mean? Yeah, he did, or he wouldn't have left. Nobody pushed him out the door. He left. He wanted to leave. And so that's kind of what bothers me. And I will say this, because Jimbo's name keeps coming up nonstop. It won't stop. If he's willing to take $2 million, I'm to the point now. With all that said, fire Mike's gracious ass and bring in that jerk to win some football games around here. No, what I was going to say, if he's willing to take $2 million, because he didn't get in it for the money, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's why I like to quote.
And he can replenish this roster and make it a grown-up program again. Maybe not a championship program. Whatever, man. Fine. Whatever. If he's going to be a cheaper option, I do have faith in this. I don't have faith that he would turn Florida State into a juggernaut again. I think that might have passed Jimbo by, especially if he refuses to give up the offense. And he's going to be stuck in his old ways because he is 60. He's old. He's old, Aslan.
Yeah, look, Cignetti's peaking right now. Willie Fritz.
I know.
Willie
And
Fritz
actually,
is
Jimbo
6-1 at Houston. He's in his 60s.
I will say this: Jimbo looks great.
He does. Yeah.
In that picture when he's talking to Beck, it's like, all right, Jimbo, you look better than you ever have, man. You're the retirement. I guess it's not a retirement, forced retirement.
That golden parachute, dog. That golden parachute.
Yeah, that helps. But look, because here's what I know, and this is where you have to. When we talk about the standard at Florida State, and people keep bringing that up, I do know that Jimbo would never have a season like this. No chance. Or a stretch like this, I should say. He's never going to have a team that loses 9 straight ACC games. He just won't. His team will have too much talent to let that happen, even if they're not all that well coached.
He was checked out. He was checked out, and they still won 5 games, and they went into the swamp and beat the Gators. Wasn't even trying.
Yeah. Wasn't even trying. Was already in College Station, and they still could do that. Yeah, absolutely. His floor is so much higher, obviously, than Norvell's floor. It's like they're coaching different sports. I get the appeal of that. Like, Jimbo would write this thing in the sense that it would be a decent program again. At the very worst, it would be decent. And I don't even know if decent. It wouldn't be bad. He was not going to have a horrible football team. He's going to have some bad losses, might have a bad record for Florida State standards, whatever those are anymore. But he's not going to have a horrible football team. He's not going to have a 9-game losing streak. So that is what a lot of people are intrigued by. Like, man, just get somebody in here that can write this thing and get us good players and stabilize things.
And well, I think it's a compelling story if it were to work out like that. And again, I trust somebody like Jeff way more than my heart and my head on this or whatever. And he says that it's just, it's not serious conversation when you're talking about Jimbo. But I think it'd be a compelling story because I think that his name, like Jimbo Fisher would not have gone snubbed. Sorry. I still think Jimbo Fisher would have got snubbed. Steve Sarkisian didn't get snubbed, right? Like Nick Saban clearly did not get snubbed. Like Mike Norvell, more than Florida State, I feel like got snubbed in 2020. And that's not fair. And it's not, I'm not saying that makes sense or it's reasonable, but I just think, Jimbo back here, man, I just think it brings a different level of curiosity to this program than what you're going to have if Mike Norvell wins four his next 5 games and sticks around for 2026.
So I would trust that it would be Jimbo would right the ship and at least get it pointed back in the right direction, where it looks like you get some real time, big time NFL football players at Florida State, and they have some ridiculous talent. That would be awesome to sign 5 stars again. Wouldn't that be fun? The end result, though, I wouldn't foresee a bunch of championship runs with Jimbo Fisher. I just don't trust it. I don't trust it. But I know that he would at least do that in the short term. The question is that the standard to just right the ship, or do you want to go get a guy that can win a championship? And I know Jimbo won one here. I am judging him on the last 8 years when college football has changed drastically, and he did not do a good job. He wasn't horrific. You know, he had some winning seasons at A&M, but he didn't do a good job at A&M with all those resources and all that NIL money. So why would we think he'd come here and crush it? And also, there is the history and the breakup. And it wasn't pretty. And he did besmirch Florida State every chance he got. And now he's going to come back? It doesn't seem tenable to me. It doesn't seem feasible to me. But I am of the opinion they've just got to get somebody in here that's going to bring them good players and make this thing look like Florida State again at the talent level, with the talent, not just the uniforms. By the way, quit changing the uniforms.
Please.
You don't get the right. You don't get the right. You quit changing the uniforms. Enough. Just you wear your standard uniforms, please. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the conversation for later on in the month, in the year, the season, is who they're going to go get. We talked about Jeff Brom. I think he'd be awesome. I think obviously Franklin is my number one choice because I do think he'd be cheap. I do think he has I think he absolutely has a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's going to bring in a flood of really good football players.
You just described Jimbo Fisher, man. Cheap, chip on the shoulder, bring you a boatload of players.
Without the
he's a sweetheart, James Franklin. He's been really
well, no, but without it's a specific baggage, right?
Like
Jimbo left
this place. I get it.
That's the difference.
By the way,
there is some baggage there.
Yeah. Sliced Bread is the person on the internet that said that A&M had a $30 million slush fund. Nick Saban said that Alabama did things the right way and spent $3 million on their
okay. So I've had it wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's what Jimbo is mad about, which is great. That's fine. But then he turns it into him defending his players, which is what Jimbo does. He has a reason for it. And he doesn't bring up the fact that he called him a narcissist. And then he made fun of people calling him the best coach ever and rolled his eyes. It's like, come on, Jimbo. Like, why'd you have to go there, buddy?
That was really bad. He lost. He lost that in the court of public opinion and the court of anything that matters worth anything.
And then he lost his job a year later, right?
He did.
Even after that great.
Yeah.
But he will get players. He will get players. And so would Franklin. And Franklin doesn't have the baggage of leaving you and still, 8 years later, bad-mouthing what you didn't get done for you. He didn't necessarily want to leave. Okay. All right. I didn't necessarily want to leave the Tallahassee Democrat. I just did because I got more money and it was a better opportunity. And you know what I mean? Like, who says something like that?
Well,
I don't blame the Democrat.
All right.
What?
No one would fault you for leaving. Like, I don't fault you for leaving.
Right. But I wouldn't then besmirch the Democrat and say they didn't give me enough money. They made me write stories I didn't want to write. They wouldn't give me a better expense report. Don't badmouth a place that did you so well, like Jimbo did, and that's what will always stick in my craw. It's not that he just left; he left for A&M, which is absurd, but that he kept taking shots about what he was not getting, and it bothers me that he's still doing it. He's still having to explain to Ross Dellinger, it took them, they didn't immediately act upon my requests. It took them too long to do what I asked them to do. It was like pulling teeth. Okay, man, but the teeth did get pulled eventually. You got what you wanted. They started the next thing, and then you hightailed it out and stuck Florida State with Stan Wilcox and Willie Taggart. Sorry, not Stan Wilcox, with Willie Taggart. You did that to Florida State. And people might be saying, and you stuck us now with Mike Norvell. And now you want to come back? And I don't even know if he wants to come back. And I don't even know why I've been talking 10 minutes about Jimbo Fisher.
Let's go.
It's crazy. It's a good talking point, though. It's something to get us through the next 5 weeks.
It was about to be a 30-minute.
God bless you, Jimbo.
It was about to be a 30-minute show. We're now closer.
And now I talk about Jimbo.
Hey,
and that 13th season was awesome. Time of my life, legitimately. Most fun I've ever had in this job.
What were we doing heading into Week 9? I wonder, I can't remember what Week 9 was. Maybe that was
in 2013.
Yeah.
Probably getting ready to beat the crap out of that might have been the Syracuse game, which was 3 days after.
It was NC State.
Broke.
Yeah, it was NC State.
That was the best.
Last game in October was NC State.
Yeah, the best moment in Jimbo's career, probably, honestly. So they had just beat Clemson 51-14.
Yep.
at Clemson, and then they roll. They're up 35-0 in the first quarter against NC State the next week. That was the best. I dare I say it's the best 2-game stretch or 5-quarter stretch in Florida State football history, and I don't even know if there's a close second. Yeah. Just an unbelievable football team playing at its peak. Yeah. With Bowden there.
That's right.
Played at the Spear.
That's right.
It's a good time. And here we are 12 years later, wondering if the head coach can somehow miracle a win over Wake Forest.
I love Corey Clark. I hope y'all do too. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell a friend about this podcast. It'll help them pull through the dark times of being this following this program right now. We're going to get through it, everybody. We're going to get through it together. I think Jeff's taking Friday off, but he'll be around today for the show, 1 to 4 o'clock, he and Tom Lang. Check out warchant.com around the clock. Matt Lasser and Michael Langston are catching up with recruits and talking about how that's going and being affected by the 4-game losing streak. But hop into the message boards. Get involved in the conversation. We'll catch up with you all probably on Monday. And in the meantime, again, check out warchant.com. He's Corey Mazal. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. warchantbogo, your promo code. Buy one, get one free.